You sat alone in the headquarters of the Paranormal Liberation Front, quietly going through some of Hawks' papers. More specifically, the hero had tasked you with sending another message to Endeavor. This meant that you were tasked with marking certain passages of the book, The Meta Liberation of War, to create a coherent message. You liked doing this. For one, it showed you the trust Hawks had in you, and every letter you pointed out felt like a kick in the nuts towards Dabi. You still refused to give in to your carnal desires and actually enjoy what these two men were doing to you on a daily basis. Luckily, the scarred man had been very busy with very dumb side jobs Shigaraki was giving him, so at least you were spared his touches and crude comments. In a way, you hated Hawks for making you go through this, but alas, you still were completely infatuated by him. Suddenly the door to your room swung open. In faint fear, you knocked over a pile of papers to immediately cover up what you were doing. A girl came in.
"Oh, sorry,"
she giggled. That was this weird girl Toga, a villain who was part of the original League of Villains.
"Tomura is looking for you,"
she said in a mocking tone. Your heart sunk. What does he want?" you stuttered. The blonde girl shrugged mockingly.
"I don't know."
You bit your lower lip to suppress a rush of emotions. Okay then, what was his face like when he told you that? She blinked, before her eyes turned to evil slits.
"You need to find that out yourself."
You were about to snap. Too much pressure. You really didn't need this now. Thankfully, you were no longer forced to wear that skimpy maid outfit. You shrugged. So, what now? Toga blinked.
"You go to him?"
She laughed. You have been following orders too much. Toga cackled and then left you behind. You swallowed the lump that was making it difficult to breathe, before getting on your feet, following Toga outside. The headquarters was a large underground complex, not only a step up from the log cabin, but also a step up from your own office and apartment. This was really the only good thing out of this deal. Once you reached the office, Toga pushed you inside, giggling like she just slaughtered an animal. Tomura was lying on a big lounger, big enough to fit two people, while staring onto the screen of his phone. On a table next to him stood a filled wine glass. In the middle of the room was a long coffee table. An open door in the back led into his bedroom. You really seemed to be enjoying this cult leader lifestyle.
You wanted to talk to me?"
You stuttered. Your body felt heavy, and it was difficult to breathe. Worst of all, however, was the fact that you were sweating profusely despite the cold air in the complex. Tomura looked at you coldly.
"I want to know who the fuck you are,"
he said without any hellos. You took a step back, not expecting that kind of question. He waved at a stool in the corner.
"Sit,"
he barked. Whimpering, you pulled out the stool and sat opposite to him at the coffee table.
"I have indulged your company for quite some time now."
You nodded.
"And our first meeting, I almost killed you."
You nodded again. You still had nightmares from that day.
"But Dabi said you're his girlfriend, so I just said whatever."
He shrugged.
"But at the same time, it also seems like you're the manager and girlfriend of Hawks."
Yes. Tomura took a sip from his wine.
"So is it then?"
You blinked. I don't quite follow.
"Who of the two do you prefer?"
The obvious answer was Hawks, but was this really what you should say? After all, you still weren't quite sure what lie the double agent hero kept feeding them.
I tolerated your presence because of the housekeeping you did, and that dress-up Dabi put you in.
Your left eye twitched upon hearing that, but you weren't quite sure what you were actually feeling.
But before we got to that, I have a lot of responsibilities now. Responsibilities that even though I wanted, I had less time to prepare for than I initially hoped for.
You blinked and blurted out, "Wait, so you don't actually believe what they're saying?" Tomura laughed.
I couldn't care less about these meta freaks. I care about power and myself.
You blinked. Did Hawks know this?
As far as I'm concerned, they're just cannon fodder for my personal goals.
Nodding, you simply asked, "And those are?" He laughed darkly.
Not now.
In a very creepy tone. Crap. If you prodded too much, you'd risk this entire operation. And your life. And Hawks' life. And you would have sacrificed your dignity to Dabi for nothing. Tomura scratched his neck aggressively.
But I want to know who you are. From your own words. Not just something Dabi sputtered to me. Or Hawks told me. And I'd like to know your quirk. So I maybe find a better use for you.
Your legs quivered in fear, and a droplet of sweat ran down your forehead. I was born to a somewhat poor family. My dad tried to support me while my mom was constantly drunk. Hearing that, Tomura's muscles tensed up a bit. Why? My mother lost her hero career when she got pregnant with me. She never recovered from that. Especially after hearing that the quirk I'd eventually develop is nothing to write home about. The man scoffed, but otherwise remained quiet. Quickly you realized that, for once, you were actually holding the playing cards. It felt good, actually. Was this how Hawks and Dabi felt whenever they played with your emotions? You gulped and made yourself a little smaller while increasing the drama of your narration. My quirk is called Vampiric Link. Despite the interesting name, the only thing it does is make people attain my status. Tomo raised an eyebrow. You know, they have a cult, I don't, so I link up with them and their cult is gone, but now I have it.
I see,
he hissed, immediately thinking about how he could use that to his own advantage. Of course, then I have that cult, and if I link up with a healthy person, they then take my cult, and I no longer have it. Make sense? Tomura grinned, but didn't say anything. To have any use for me in society, my parents, mostly my mom, forced me to become a business hero, and
business heroes are a scam,
interrupted Tomura. You blinked.
They're just bankers and managers who want to be called hero, so they feel better about themselves and about how useless they really are.
You blinked and then smiled. Actually, you huffed. I agree. Agreeing with the most hated and feared man of Japan, outside of his terrorist organizers and its synthesizers, of course, was probably the last thing you expected to happen tonight.
I think I can use your quirk.
You blinked. Really? You were surprised.
Yes, really. I hate praising people, so I rarely do it. So just take the stupid compliment.
You nodded vigorously to calm your nerves.
So you became a manager, right?
Yes, sir.
Was Hawks your first?
You shook your head. Actually, no, I had a boyfriend in high school who...
No,
he interrupted, and you blinked in confusion.
I mean first person you managed.
You blushed. Well, yeah, that was really surprising. I was so happy, especially since I had a long-time crush on him. Why was Tomura showing so much interest in you? This had to be a trick. Actually, now that you thought about it, Tomura was the first person to ask about your quirks since you left school.
Are you loyal to the...
He paused. While it seemed like he immediately thought about what word to say, it was actually just him suppressing a mocking chuckle.
Cause...
You mean the meta-liberation thing? You asked carefully.
Yes.
Instantly your body heated up. This was the true test, wasn't it? Your head sunk. Truthfully? No. Shigaraki adjusted his sitting position to pay more attention to you.
Go on.
I don't believe the mad ravings of this book. For the stuff written in this manifesto to work, people need to be nice. The idea that there can be a society where everyone just treats each other nicely and no one steps out of line and is happy all the time is just plain insanity. No, I don't believe in the cause of the Meta Liberation Army, and like most people, I'm just in for the money and how much fun I can have on a daily basis. The room went dead quiet. You couldn't tell Tomura's facial expression as he sunk his head, thinking. After a minute or two, he returned his attention to you.
In other words, you're a villain.
That was the role assigned to you by Hawks. Yes. So, had you given the right answer? Had you played your cards right? Now it was his turn to play the game. He pointed a finger at you.
I like you, he said, which is honestly pretty difficult for me to accept.
Shigaraki got up on his feet and walked into the back of the room. He pulled open a secret compartment in the wall which revealed a wine rack.
Do you want some?
You thought for a moment before smiling.
Yes, sir.
He took a filled bottle of nondescript wine and a glass, before grabbing one of his own and sitting down on the table in front of you. You took the glass and he filled it.
Didn't take a stickler to the rules like you to drink on the job.
You smiled. It's fine. I don't mind. In your head you added, any more?
Any interests outside of work?
He asked as he leaned forward, his crimson eyes piercing your gaze. You gulped, but remained stalwart. I like video games. He blinked.
That answer came so quick it sounds like a Freudian slip.
Yeah, you blushed. I honestly wanted to say something sophisticated. He chuckled.
Video games can be sophisticated. What do you play?
You were glad he wasn't mocking you for that. Blushing, you answered, the games I enjoy are quite violent. He grinned.
Oh, are they?
You nodded.
Violent like Virgin Blood Rage 4?
Your eyes widened. Oh my god, you shouted. Yes, it's so good. Have you played the DLC? It was as if you had completely forgotten that before you said the enemy. You spent hours talking about video games. It was like having a conversation with your old high school flame. It was nice. It was nice to have a less sexually charged conversation for once. It was great feeling the way you did now. The mild alcohol was what uncorked the hidden dweeb within you. Meanwhile, Tomura, on the other hand, enjoyed having a non-business related conversation. Eventually the bottle was empty, and you realized the two of you had just been staring into each other's eyes for a minute and a half, with neither of you saying something. Tomura was the first to snap out of it. He gulped.
I apologize. What were we talking about?
To finish this card game, you played your final piece. We were talking about how much better of a man you are compared to Dabi and Hawks. Tomura grinned.
Oh, were we now?
He smirked. Even if you weren't attracted to Shigaraki right now, you would have done this regardless, just to further the game you were playing as a double agent. But why not get some actual enjoyment out of this for once?
You really think you should?
He chuckled.
What about the bird and the scarecrow?
You sighed, not wanting to think about them. Honestly, right now, I couldn't care less. You looked at your feet. For once, I'm the one who wants something, not them. He blinked.
What are you talking about?
You're not forcing me to do anything. Your eyes filled with tears, but not enough to actually start crying. Both of you went silent once more. And more out of instinct than anything else, both of your faces came closer. When his lips touched yours, you half expected him to grab you and throw you on the ground, mounting you like an animal. But he didn't. Despite his lips being bone dry, they were soft and only gently brushed against your skin. A surprisingly soft move coming from the villain. This was truly a surprise to you. Your arms moved forward on their own, grasping the back of his neck. Gently pushing him into you. The man melted into your touch. It was strange. After all that Dabi and Hawks put you through, it was nice feeling equal to someone. It was nice feeling appreciated. It was nice to be gently touched rather than manhandled. He retreated for a second, just to catch his breath.
Are you going to stay for the night?
He asked carefully. Depends, you whispered seductively.
On what?
How long you can distract Dabi and Hawks for the next few hours.
I'll keep them busy. As long as you're with me.
You smiled. Good.